Parashas Vayishlach presents a classic case of Ma'asa Avos Siman Labanim. The actions of our forefathers are a precursor and a sign and a symbol, if you will, for their children. We know that Yaakov Avinu, when he was returning from the house of Lavan, and he knew that he was going to be confronted by his brother Esav and the 400 soldiers, the 400 men that were with him, Yaakov devised a three-pronged strategy. Number one, he davened. Number two, he sent gifts. And number three, he split his camp into two parts. In this way, if one would be attacked, the other part could flee and flee to safety. And that strategy was used time and again when the Jewish people encountered Esav's descendants, specifically the Romans. The Gemara tells us that when great rabbinic dignitaries would head off to, or representatives would head off to speak to the Roman dignitaries or the Roman representatives or the officials of government to plead on the Jewish people's behalf, they would relearn the story of Yaakov and Esav time and again to be fully prepared. And so we see that what happened with Yaakov Avinu was a lesson and portended a lot of the interaction that occurred later on involving Yaakov's and Esav's respective descendants. This is a very powerful message, this idea that something that happens once upon a time can have everlasting impact. Obviously, none of us are avos in the classic sense of the term, but we really do make an impact on our children. We really do make an impact on others through our behaviors. You know, there's a medrash that says that had Reuven recognized that the Torah would write what his response was regarding the sale of Yosef, he would have grabbed Yosef out of the bar, out of the pit, and put him on his shoulders and brought him back to Yaakov Avinu. And had Aaron recognized that the Torah would write about how he came to the Midbar, to the desert, to greet Moshe Rabbeinu, he would have come out with a 15-piece band and really revved it up, so to speak, to greet Moshe in the most dramatic way possible, in the most positive way possible. It also says that had Boaz known that his actions would be recorded, he would have given Rus much more than just stray pieces of barley or just sheaves of grain. He would have given her fattened calves and whatnot. And the question is, what exactly is the Medrash telling us? Were these people in it for the fame? Were they in it for the write-up? And the answer is no, but they were in it for the lesson, or they would have been in it for the lesson. Had they known that their behavior would be recorded for posterity, they would have acted differently. All of us have an obligation all of the time to think about how will our behaviors be remembered? How will our interactions be recorded by people temporarily or short-term, as well as long-term? What will be our legacy? And if the legacy is that of a teacher, of somebody who is above board, of somebody who's always doing the right thing and being caring and considerate of others, that legacy will live on, but the opposite will also. So our message, as we think about Ma'asa Avos Siman Labanim, the deeds of our fathers that have a future portention, if you will, with their children, the idea that there is the possibility, certainly with the Avos, that what they did would indicate what would happen in the future with Klal Yisrael. Maybe we don't operate on the same scale. In fact, we know we don't. But what we do know is that we can influence our children. And if we think about that carefully, then we could really think further about what we want our children to think of us as, our legacy should be, so that we can really be the very best role model for them and really the best communicator and teacher of the values that we treasure so much. Have a great Shabbos.